Good morning, friends. It's been about a month since I checked in, so I thought this would be a great time to do that. Today's Saturday. It's November, I think it's November 3rd, 2018. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning right now. Or actually, no, maybe it's already 11 o'clock. Wow, it's 11 o'clock. And so I want to do a little check-in. You know, a lot's been going on this month. One, my daughter had gastric bypass surgery. She's doing fantastic. She totally did so great in the hospital. She has already lost, I think it was 22 pounds in 3 weeks. She's already on stage 3 in her diet, but she is eating a little bit more solids than I did. And I'm going to do another video later about the differences that I'm seeing in her recovery versus my recovery. And there's some differences I see in the food intake. So I'm gonna do another video about that because that's too long of a discussion to get into right now. But so I kind of wanted to do a little update on a very big change and a very big decision that I made to conquer my regain. Okay, so to back up, I had a VSG surgery, vertical sleeve gastrectomy surgery, on January 23rd, 2017. My highest weight ever was 261 pounds. I was about a 3X in clothes. My highest size I ever got to was size 20 women, so that is 20W. On the surgery date, I got weighed in at the hospital pre-op, and I was 250 pounds. I had actually lost like 7 pounds on the 2-day liquid pre-op diet. It was a pre-op, like a 2-day clear liquid diet that I was put on, so that's how I was able to actually lose most of the weight. So that's how I got down to 250. My lowest weight that I have ever seen since surgery was 162 pounds. And that has been quite a while ago, to be honest. That was, it's been quite a bit. So what happened was I kind of started slipping with monitoring my weight. I wasn't really watching as much. I didn't have much change in my diet, to be honest, but then I weighed myself and I had shot up. I started noticing that I was going up and up and up, and I got to the highest regain weight of 173. So that was an 11-pound regain. And you guys, I've shared my struggle with increasing my exercise and changing my diet and really getting more into cleaning up my diet, being much more, I am a vegetarian, so being a lot more plant-based in my diet. Really for the past 3 or 4 months, I've been fluctuating between 170 and 173, and it wasn't even 170.0. It was always, for some reason, 170.8. So I would go day after day after day, 170.8, 170.8, 170.8, and then be 173, and then 173, and then 172.2. So I had like these certain weights that my body would just like gravitate towards. So it was like 170.8, 171.2, and then 173 like on the dot. But it was always seems to be like one of those weights. Well, so I decided that because I'm already I feel like I'm already doing all the right things. So I'm sticking to about 1,000 calories. My proteins were on point. I felt like my food was on point. My exercise was great. And so I felt like, okay, it's time to do something else. Now, if any of you guys watched my day before surgery video, I talked about how I had been on the keto diet. Now, a lot of you are on the keto diet, but I talked about how I'd been on the keto diet before. I had not lost any weight at all on the keto diet, but I did feel very good. And so my plan was, as soon as I had surgery, I was going to go back on keto. Well, I soon discovered that my body could not tolerate fat. I couldn't have avocado or the bacon. And then, but I was still forcing myself to eat the protein, because that's what they say, you know, during like the pre-op classes. It's protein first. Well, what I realized is that, man, I would eat a little bit of protein and it would feel like a stone in my stomach, like the littlest quantity. And so I noticed I started pushing away from meat, and I was slowly starting to decrease the quantities of meat. And then I realized that I was focusing so much on trying to tolerate the discomfort from the meat that it wasn't allowing me to eat other foods like my vegetables. So for instance, if I had a plate of food and I had a small quantity of protein on the plate and a portion of vegetables, or like a rice or a starch or whatever it might be, I would always gravitate towards wanting to, because of the education that we're given to protein first, I would eat the protein first, but it would upset my stomach so much that I wouldn't be able to eat the vegetables or the starch or whatever else was on the plate, or whether that be a little piece of fruit or really anything. And I would have to wait a long time until I could eat again. So I kind of decided that I was just going to give it a try, and I was going to cut out the meat. And what I noticed, as soon as I cut out the meat, I was able to go back to eating a nice, healthy quantity of vegetables and, fruits and soup. But then I realized that, okay, I was actually I was feeling so much better not eating the meat. But then, I really kind of thought that because I was eating such a good, high nutrient, dense, low calorie foods, that I would lose weight. And I ended up actually gaining weight doing that. I don't really understand why, more probably because my metabolism is very screwed up. I also have a very severe thyroid disease that really affects my body for just spontaneous reasons. So it might have been partly that. And, and it's true though, a little bit of, bad calories would kind of sneak in there, but I've always been really good about tracking on my MyFitnessPal, and so my calories were always on point. But and I was actually doing, towards like the last several months, I was actually doing like an intentionally low fat diet, where I was doing kind of a modified starch solution diet. It's a diet plan by Dr. McDougall, where he promotes basically 100% starch. So potatoes, rice, corn, some light green vegetables, but predominantly vegan and very low fat, like no intentional fats, really. But what I was doing because of being a weight loss patient and feeling like I needed more of a balance, I would have half starch and half like green vegetable. And I felt really, amazing actually doing that diet. It was really, really great. But I was not losing weight. And I started the starch solution when I'd already gotten up to my highest regain weight. And so I cannot blame that at all on the regain. The regain happened when I was just doing vegetarian eating. But I realized that something needed to change. I needed to, because the calories were already on point. And so I've been watching a lot of your videos. I'm taking your advice, and I'm going to follow your lead. And so I am going to try to go low carb / keto again and give it a whirl, and see how my body does. I am vegetarian still. I do occasionally, very, very, very occasionally, test my stomach, and I will have maybe a little bit of chicken, maybe like a little bite of red meat. But I really cannot tolerate more than like a sliver of some sort of red meat. I do seem to tolerate chicken in very small quantities if it's like shredded and if I eat it really slow, but it's very time consuming to eat meat. And so it's like, it's really not a priority for me. I feel totally fine not eating meat. And so I feel very comfortable being vegetarian for those reasons. And so for the past 7 days, I have followed a low carb keto diet. Now, I have never been able to reach the high percentages, the macros of 70% fat, which is a keto diet. It's a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet. My average is, plus as a weight loss patient, our calories are a little bit lower, but I did go on a Keto Calculator, and it told me that I should be having 1,400 calories a day. Well, actually it said 1,440 for my height and for my activity level. Or the website, I went on Keto Connect, which is also on YouTube. I highly recommend them. And I used the link that they had recommended for their Keto Calculator. And it actually asked me about like my thyroid diseases and the fact that I am menopausal because I've had a total hysterectomy. And so I've never had a Keto Calculator or any sort of calculator ask me those questions. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So anyway, it recommended for me the 1,440 calories, which that's 440 extra calories compared to what I had been eating. And I'm pretty sure it was like, it didn't give like a percentage that I don't believe, but it was like 70, the typical 70% fat. I guess it was 20% protein and 10% carbs, but it all, it breaks down to whatever your calorie, set is, what the actual numbers, would be for that. And so I was like, that's kind of high calories, but I went ahead and I plugged it into my Fitness Pal, and I started following that and letting myself eat a little bit more calories instead of restricting my calories like I had been. I've been really restricting, having this feeling that I could not, for any reason, go over 1,000 calories. It was like my line in the sand was 1,000 calories. Well, so I started tracking, and it took me a couple days to really dial down and get my carbs a little bit lower. But then I realized that I kind of found the things that were a little bit higher carb that I started getting rid of. And my calories were shooting up. And so I realized there was one day I was like 1396. Next day I was 1360. But here is the magical moment. I'm down to 168.2. So I've lost 4.8 pounds since my highest weight of 173, my highest regain weight of 173. In the past week, I have lost, I believe it's about 2 pounds. So this is the first time I actually feel like I'm on the right track. So this seems to be working for me. It seems to be working, and that is with no meat. I haven't had any meat. I have incorporated more egg into my diet. I also am doing a thing, I'm doing on Keto Connect. They had this thing, and I just did a video about it. I'm going to post it after this, on faux overnight oats. This sucker, it's so tasty. But I'll just give you like a quick rundown. What I use is hemp seeds instead of oats, and these things are way low in carbs, but they're a little bit higher in fat and they're higher in calories. And so at first that really kind of scared me, because I was like, wait a minute, these kind of have a lot of calories, and so that was a little scary. And then you add chia seeds. But what I do is I pour in my Premier Protein shakes, because I don't know if you guys know this, but they're coming out with a ton of new flavors on Premier Protein. And they've now got a peaches and cream flavor, which is it's totally delicious. It's really mild peach flavor, but there's also the banana and cream flavor, which a lot of us already knew about that one. But I use that as my liquid in here. So, because what I had been doing is I had been bringing a yogurt, like the 80 calorie light and fit yogurt, and I was adding in a tablespoon of hemp seeds and a tablespoon of chia seeds. And then also, I've been using this product. You see that? So these are like sesame seed puffs, kind of. And for 1 cup of these, which we would never be using 1 cup of these things, but they're 150 calories, but they're a lot higher in carbs. And I hadn't noticed how high of carbs these were, because I was just noticing, I just saw that they were high in protein. So I have cut these out because I didn't even realize that I was adding more carbs to an already carby yogurt. And so that's why I say it kind of took me a couple of days to kind of realize what I was doing wrong. But now that I'm using the Premier Protein as the liquid so this basically tastes like a yogurt it almost tastes, because it's got a little bit of the crunch, it almost tastes like, like it's got a little bit like granola in it or something. But this is really, really good. So that's sort of my update. I'm doing really fantastic. My exercise is still good. I'm having some pain with my knees, so I can't do the stairs as much, but I found that I can do laps around my building, my work. And so that's kind of it. The big thing, the big change for me is I am going low carb instead of high carb, kind of. I'm going low carb, higher fat. I'm going like basically as close to keto as I can, and seeing how it goes from here, and I'll keep you updated. But so far, so good. I hope you guys are all doing great. I've been pretty busy, so I'm sorry I haven't been able to respond to many of your videos, but you guys are doing great. I'm watching them. I just don't really have time to, because I'm kind of watching them when I'm at work, to be honest. I put my headphones in, and I put my phone face down at my desk, so people don't know that I'm actually listening to you guys on your YouTube videos. But so I can't sit there and I can't respond, but I am listening. And so you guys are doing so fantastic. And to all my new subscribers I have a lot of new subscribers that just had their surgeries. Congratulations. Look back at some of my old videos to see my progress. I have found, since my daughter just had her gastric bypass 3 weeks ago, her surgery date was August 8th, that we're going back and watching like last night, my daughter was telling me how much she had lost. And so I was like, oh, I wonder how much I had lost at 3 weeks post-op. And it turns out I had lost 20 some odd pounds 3 weeks post-op. And so we're like right on track. Amanda and I, my daughter. So that was really kind of exciting to see. So watch videos. A lot of the gals that make comments on my videos, watch their videos too, because we've all got so much knowledge and just sharing our experience. And I think that's sometimes the best way to learn. Okay, you guys, have a blessed day. Have a great weekend, great week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.